Welcome to the very first episode of Unseen View, the show where we talk about shit everyone's thinking, but no one's saying.
Yeah, we're not here to hold hands or play nice. We're here to poke the bear and roast the truth. And if you're easily offended, well, you've been warned.
But hey, maybe you need this. Maybe we all do. I'm Ryan, full time menace and part time energy drink addict.
And I'm Jacob, certified vibe checker and overthinker of the year. And this is Unseen View.
You want to go ahead and talk about yourself for a little bit?
Sure. So,
All right.
I'm a musician. My name is Jacob, or you could call me Suji. That's an online alias I go by. It was my musician name, all that stuff. Um, I'm a musician based in Texas. I'm in Oklahoma now. I went to the school for the blind and graduated there. Uh, my buddy Ryan here, we've been friends for about 3 years, I'd say. I'd say like around
Yep.
3 years. And yeah, this guy's probably one of the best people I've met, I swear. But man, oh man.
Flattered.
But yeah, I'm a musician. I'm a music producer. I do little skits here and there. Uh, I have a project, Class of 25, dropping June 28th at midnight. But yeah, that's enough about me. Let's hand it to you, Ryan.
Well, I'm Ryan. Like he said, we met at the School for the Blind here in Oklahoma. I'm 17 years old. I'm pretty young. Um, I live in McLeod, Oklahoma, out in the middle of nowhere. I'm a big activist for the blind visually impaired. I've spent a lot of time in politics in our state capital, and I plan to be a politician in the future. And I think that's a big part that kind of led us to do this podcast was, the controversial stuff. Because me and Jacob both have a lot of really different viewpoints on a lot of issues in the world right now. And not even that, just mental health issues, stuff like that. And that's a lot of stuff we'll be discussing in this podcast. It's going to be a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily, or ideas you wouldn't necessarily think about. And I'm really excited. I don't know about you, Jacob.
Listen, man, I'm real excited about this podcast. I'm really happy that I get to do it with one of my best friends, one of the all time greats. You know what I'm saying? This podcast is gonna be very I guess opinion driven, but it's also very
Yes.
mental driven. It's one of those things where we have a sit down conversation. We talk about the state of the world. We talk about mental health, any of that and stuff like that. Things that people don't normally talk about. And it
Yeah.
gets really deep. And there's gonna be times where we get emotional. And the thing is, that's okay because that's how we are as humans. And I think people don't like to show that. So
Oh,
we're
of
here
course.
to show
Yeah.
that. And that's what the unseen view is.
Yeah. It's the the ideas or the concepts that not everybody thinks about. I think this world is largely based off of word of mouth. When especially the media, when some one person says something, it spreads like wildfire. I think a really good example of that is the No Kings protest coming up lately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and put this out in the air now, and Jacob, you can go ahead and say yours afterwards.
Yep.
But I am not necessarily far rightist, but I am a Republican. Jacob.
I am neither Republican nor Democrat, but I am a free thinker. I am someone who just thinks freely. I guess you could say I'm independent in that stance.
Yeah. So my kind of viewpoint on this whole No Kings protest was, I saw a video of this group of protesters saying this is real democracy. Yeah, this is what real democracy looks like. And the first thing that came to mind was the United States isn't a democracy, it's a republic. That's
Right.
why I say it in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
You know, it to the republic for which it stands. We are a republican country
Right.
with a democratic form of government,
Mm-hmm.
which is two completely different things. So when people are sitting here saying this is what democracy looks like, that's not what our country is.
Right.
That's how we vote like a democratic country, but that doesn't mean we are one. And I think stuff like that, things that are said along those lines in the media really drive this world, and it's a lot of false information. So we're here to bring out the unseen view.
Mm-hmm.
The ideas. that you don't see on the media, that you don't see on the news, the ideas that you might not think about until somebody puts them in your face,
Right.
which we're gonna do.
See, we're not here to brainwash. We're here to give our opinions,
Nope.
and whether you may agree or disagree, we're here to be open minded.
Yep. Exactly. And I think an amazing topic to kick us off in our pilot episode is, of course, the events that happened in Iran last night. For those of you, obviously, this isn't going to be posted for a while, but it's currently June 22nd. And as you know, last night, the United States of America led a strike on the Iran. What are they called?
Uh, I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember the name of the organization, but it's the Iran regime. It's the regime of Iran.
Yeah, the Iranian regime.
Yeah.
We took, wow, I can't even talk today, but that's okay. We're new to this. We're going to get better. We did a strike on three of their major nuclear facilities last night, and we're extremely successful in doing that. And I think that'd be a great topic to kind of talk about.
Right.
And Jacob, I'm really curious to hear your views on this, on your ideas of kind of what happened last night and what's been going on for the past couple weeks.
So for me at least, like what I've seen last night, I saw like in the later events of the bombing of the three nuclear plants that they had in Iran. I saw they sent out I think about 40 missiles to Israel, and they ended
Yeah.
up like retaliating. And
Yeah.
this all I feel stems from the Israel Palestine conflict, from the land that they consider holy. And with
Okay.
that land being sacred to both parties, we have to look at the history. You have to look at the history of what's going on. A lot of people don't look at the history. They don't read. They don't do their own research. People will follow either a conservative or a liberal aspect of it. And the thing is, I
Yeah.
feel like even when you watch those kinds of news, you should be doing your own research.
Oh,
Um,
of course. Research, and I mean that's something that goes on behind the scenes for this show as well. Research is your number one best friend. Because again, the media lies, and when one person sees something on the media, they spread it. Word of mouth is a big way to spread news through our country,
right.
and it can be really negative,
Mm-hmm.
extremely negative in some cases.
Oh, for sure.
Like, let's, for example, the strike on Iran last night. We struck them extremely hard. We we aren't playing around, and we made that very clear to Iran. And I think a lot of people are under the impression that we're going to war with Iran. Now, we have not declared war on anybody. As of 10:50 on June 22nd, war has not been declared. But we have joined in the war efforts with Israel to defend their country from Iran. Now, neither country is in the right space. And I mean, Jacob will talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not part of any war movement right now. All
Right.
we're doing is aiding Israel because in the end they're under attack.
Right.
It
And
doesn't matter who's in the wrong, who's in the right. We're Israel's friend, and our friend's under attack, and we're there to back them up.
oh, for sure. And with that even being said, I think our next like focus should be about like what has started it, where it all began, with the history of it, with
Yeah,
the Palestine Israel conflict. Uh, like so, Israel became a state in or country state in 1945, if I'm correct.
yeah,
If I'm not correct, fact check me. But before that, in the world maps and the world view, it was considered Palestine.
yeah,
The Palestinians were oppressed, and with that, even the Iranian Shah, the first Shah of Iran, the king of Iran,
yeah,
he wanted to bring modern day things to the West or for to Iran. I meant, and the
Yeah.
people of Westerners are able to be in Iran and be able to, like, coexist,
Yeah.
whether you're Muslim, Jewish, or Christian. Then there was a terrorist organization that ended up overthrowing the first Shah. And now, what we consider now the Iranian regime, that is what we are at right now, which is the
Yeah.
terrorist organization from now.
Yep. And it's sad. It really is sad. A lot of these countries like Afghanistan as well, you see them getting taken over by these terrorist organizations that mean nothing but harm.
Right.
And that's one of those things that makes me proud to be an American, and that itself is a controversial statement these
Mm-hmm.
days.
Yeah, for
Now,
sure.
I don't necessarily support every decision our government makes, but right now, our country being led by a Republican leader, I respect him and I respect a lot that's going on, but obviously we make some really bad decisions. But I do
Yeah.
think the events of last night were warranted.
Oh, for sure.
I think Iran, they kind of they got ahead of themselves when it came to striking Israel. They got ahead of themselves with, the fact that they knew that they could hurt Israel, but they didn't consider the fact that Israel had friends. They didn't consider the fact that a U.S. attack could be one of the consequences of them striking Israel.
Right.
And sure enough, it happened. It came real.
Right, yeah. And the way Iran attacked Israel, it seemed like bullying. It in a way felt more like
Yeah,
bullying than anything.
it a lot of it wasn't there wasn't a meaning behind a lot of it. Like most strikes you see these days, they're targeting leaders, they're targeting scientists, they're targeting generals, people like that,
Right.
people that will make a difference in the war. But a lot of these strikes recently have been targeted towards civilians. The people of Israel don't deserve that.
Mm-mm.
And don't get me wrong, neither do the people of Iran.
Oh
Nobody
yeah.
deserves to be killed.
And to say
Death death is such an unholy thing to experience in this world, and
oh, for sure.
nobody should ever experience it unless it's of old age.
No, for
Now,
sure. With
I wish I was immortal like everybody else,
yeah. Yeah,
but
with
sadly that's not possible.
right. I think with like okay, so with Iran, 80 I'd say like 80%. 80% of the Iranians do not support the regime. There's 20%
Yeah,
of the Iranians that have been brainwashed to, accept the regime because they
yeah,
don't think that they'll get free from that. Why do you think that Iranians end up coming to America to refuge from that? Because the government is attacking its people. The government is
yeah,
putting their people in danger and putting them aside, and it breaks my heart to see that because it only causes more violence, more war, more death, and nobody wants to see their son, their mother, their daughter, their father down and gone. They don't want to see that. No one
yeah,
wants to see that. I don't think any of us Americans wants to see that. Why are we striving for violence when it could be prevented in a way? I mean, of
yeah,
course,
and
war is inevitable at that. I think with war, there's obviously going to be death. There's obviously going to be some sort of conflict, but I mean, I actually told one of my friends. I was talking to his grandpa, right? And we talked about this whole situation. We brought up why can't Jews, Christians, and Muslims live in harmony? It's
yeah,
because of the difference in faith. And the thing is, people judge you for that. Hasn't God ever said uh, to love your neighbors, to love one another? No matter
exactly,
what
yeah,
you are, no matter your skin color, no matter your race, your sexuality, anything like that. And you know what people do? They're hypocrites. They still do that kind of stuff. They still judge you.
it's it's sad to say it, it really is, but this world is fueled by hatred.
Yep.
People do things because of hatred. I catch myself saying all the time, I'm going to do this because that person told me I couldn't.
Right.
Now, that's great motivation, of course, but I'm only doing that out of the hatred in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think, kind of moving on to a different topic, about the Iranian thing,
Mm-hmm.
one thing a lot of Americans don't understand, and of course this is a big point in this podcast, is to get that unseen view out there,
Right.
is that we didn't strike Iran just to become part of the war efforts. We didn't strike them just to be bullies. We struck them to prevent further death. And of course, death occurred last night, which is never a good thing.
Hmm.
I I don't support death in any way,
Right.
but at the end of the day, those people that were killed last night only had intentions to kill even more people. The people that were killed last night were killed because they had the intention to build nuclear weapons,
Right.
which the US couldn't let happen.
Mm-mm.
Now, it's not our war. So did we have a place to do that? Was that our job? I don't necessarily think so.
Yeah.
I understand we're allies with Iran, but I don't necessarily think that it was our job to come in and do that. I think we could have supplied Israel with the tools and the weapons and the funding to do it. But at the end of the day, we killed terrorists
Right.
and we put a stop to what could have been mass
Mass
destruction for the state of
destruction.
Israel,
Yeah.
and we saved a lot of lives. Now, I don't want to say shame on the US government for causing death, because it, like you said, it comes with war. It's
Right.
not fun. Nobody likes it, but it's part of war. People are going to die.
It's inevitable.
And I think, as an American, as a Republican, I think I would much rather the terrorists die than the people that still have lives, the people that are happy, that are living their everyday life. And especially a lot of those people in Israel that are trying to get out of there. There's people that are trying to leave that are being killed, and all those terrorists want to do was make it even worse.
Right.
So, to those listening that think the US made a mistake by joining the efforts last night or by aiding Israel, it wasn't a flex. It wasn't a way to bully Iran into stopping. It was a way of saving Israeli lives. Because just like the United States of America, they deserve freedom. They deserve a happy, wonderful life. And we were helping them and succeeding in that. So that's just kind of my point of view. Do you think do you think it was right for the US to make a strike last night?
I think whether it was good or not, I think it was meant to happen just due to the sheer fact they didn't. I mean, as you said, they didn't need to cause more death. They did it to not cause more death, and of
Yeah.
course, unfortunately, with war, I mean, as I said, it causes death, and about 23 people I think were injured during the Iranian retaliation strike last night,
Yep.
and it's a sad sight to see. It's a sad
It
thing
is.
to witness, but I think the U.S. understood that I think they thought one step ahead. I think they thought that if they were to take away that nuclear weapon, that there would be a lot less casualties,
Oh,
way
of
less
course.
casualties, and I think the U.S. did good by doing that. I think.
Now,
Well, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, what? No, go ahead.
I think with the Iranian regime, when that ends, when those terrorists are deceased, may God have mercy on their soul. But when they're deceased, I'm praying that Iran can bring peace to oneself again. To be
Yeah.
like how the first Shah wanted it. To bring modern day equipment, the modern day tools for this generation and for the world, so
Yeah.
that it could be a peaceful place again.
Yeah, and I think that's something that everybody out there in the Middle East is praying for. And it's crazy to me. It blows my mind. I understand religion is a big, you know, it's life for a lot of people. A lot of people live on religion. They live by those morals. And so in the countries like Israel, where it's claimed to be the Holy Land, war is at its peak, and it's always been. You think of war, you think the Middle East, right?
Right,
You think of terrorist attacks, you think of Muslims,
right.
and that's just I mean,
it's a stereotype.
I don't
Of
know.
course.
I don't know if that's the American mind,
Uh huh.
but I think in other places in the world, they most likely think that way as well. And it's sad. It really is because, all these people, all these religions, they preach peace, right? Peace, peace. Everybody wants peace. We all want peace. But, when you think of the Holy Land, where this idea of peace came from, it is the most unpeaceful place you could be in this
For
planet
sure.
a lot of times. And that breaks my heart. That really does because I mean those people are happy, you know. They the people in the Gaza Strip, they're right on the ocean. I mean, they may not all be financially okay, but that part of the world, and really any other country, and I was talking about this the other night, Jacob.
Right.
Any other country, they have things that Americans don't have, and that's family and happiness. You
That
see
peace with
these
religion.
immigrants coming from other countries and they work blue collar, they're working 15-hour days and they come home and they still smile and they still party and they have fun. And that's something that Americans don't do.
Right.
And it's, like I was saying, those people in Israel, that's how they work, they go out, they make money, they provide for their families and they come home and they have fun. They enjoy their lives. It may be hard, but we're humans, that's what we were designed to do.
Right.
But now, in the past 20 years, it's been kind of quiet over there, obviously, other than like Afghanistan.
No, for sure.
But now we're coming back into that time where these people that were happy, that were at peace, are completely uprooting their lives because some people want what they think is their land,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's sad. We're all human.
Right. And I think feeling empathetic or sympathetic for those people, of course, that's natural. I feel like even as
Yeah.
human beings, I think if people don't have some sort of moral code to them, like of course, like one of my buddies, he told me, he said, there's always there's gonna be times where you're gonna have to break your moral code, where you're gonna have
Oh,
to
of
set it
course.
aside, and maybe violence may be needed. And I'm like, I never really thought it like that. I always thought
Yeah.
that peace would be the way to go. But I've learned through my life and through my own actions that peace doesn't always resolve things. Peace isn't
Yeah.
always something that is attained peacefully. Peace is attained with oneself first, of course. And
Yeah.
I'll say this, like to bring a topic up with Palestine. Those people in Gaza that are suffering, the people that are getting raided and all that kind of stuff, people are dying, children are dying, and you know what they say? They say Alhamdulillah, and they pray to God. They thank God for everything, and they thank God for living. They thank God for any food that they have, and those people are so devout to their religion, and those people are so devout to what they believe in. I think that Jewish and Muslims people are probably the most devout to their religion in the stance
Yeah.
of they they believe in God and they will die for that God. They will die for God. And I think
Yeah.
that I feel like that's a beautiful thing, but of course it's a scary thing. I think religion
Oh,
is a
yeah.
very scary thing. I'm personally not a big fan of organized religion personally. I think
Yeah.
I think organized religion really divides people. But for people who do
Okay.
practice Islam or practice the Torah or the Quran and all that stuff, of course, kudos to you. I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you nothing but peace. For me personally, I believe in God. My faith is to God and God only, and my faith is more nearing Islam, but the way organized religion is, I'm more of a spiritual kind of thing. It's like non-denomination. That's what it
Yeah.
is. So,
Well,
for
okay. So, kind of going off of that,
yeah,
um, I think a lot of people can sympathize with that and the whole, more spiritual side and kind of non-denominational. I personally, I'm non-denominational Christian. But I think another awesome topic to talk about in our pilot would be religion in the United States. Let's
Oh
bring it
yeah, for
back to the
sure.
homeland. Let's
Yeah, let's bring it
kind of
back to
talk
the
about
homeland.
some stuff that we're dealing with here.
Right.
What here? What's the wording I'm looking for? What do you think? I know you, like you just said, you're not a big fan of organized religion.
Right, right.
What do you think of the mixing pot that is the United States with all the different religions
With
we
all the
have?
different religions, I think personally, I think of it in a really good light. I think it's beautiful that we have a culture to where it's diverse. It's diverse and even in the like we've had like civil rights and stuff like that, to where people are able to be to for where people are able to coexist together as one. And I think
Yeah.
that's a very beautiful thing in religion in the United States. You can practice your religion wherever, whenever, and there's churches, there's synagogues, there's mosques. I for, I'm gonna be honest, I forgot the Hindi one, but there are those in the United States as well, and
Yeah.
it, it's so beautiful the way I've seen a mosque before, I've seen a church before. I see a lot of churches, like even here in Oklahoma, we have a lot of churches, and I see a
Yep.
lot of these, and I'm like, this is so beautiful. Whether it's something that I may not believe, the thing is the places and the way they preach, I love it. I love that people are so
Yeah.
devout to what they do, and I think that in the United States, it is the most culturally diverse in the entire world
Oh,
in
no, it most
terms
definitely is.
of religion, in terms of our cultures mixing. Like you're Italian and I'm Mexican,
Yeah.
so our cultures collide, but it's not a conflicting collide.
Yeah.
It's a peaceful collide. Like we bring so many cultures to this country, and it's beautiful. It's so
You know,
beautiful. Like I have so much like happiness for it, and
I
man.
think one thing in this day and age makes me more mad than anything else.
Mm,
And so this podcast is kind of about statements like I'm about to make.
right,
It's about the stuff that a large majority of people won't agree with. And that statement is that I am proud to be an American. I love this country. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I'm big into politics. I've spent a lot of time around politicians at our state capitol, and I know how the system works. And if anything, that just makes me more proud to be an American. And I know in this day and age, you hear a lot of people say that they don't like America, or that they don't like living here, they don't like the people here. But I think those people should find a different place to live, honestly. I think the United States, not only us being the largest superpower in the world, but like I said, the mixing pot that we are, there's so much America has to offer. And of course, people say, "Oh, we don't actually have the freedom of speech or, the freedom to bear arms." That they tried to take that away from us. But in the end of the day, we have the Constitution of the United States. That the Constitution is a document unlike any other country's. The Constitution is something that we can say gives our citizens freedom, real freedom, unlike any other country. And sure, our country does things that the citizens don't like, but every country does, right? We're not the only ones.
right. And with
We we wake up every morning. We have food. Sure, inflation's a thing, right?
yeah,
And sure, jobs don't pay that much money anymore,
right,
but we have food that is available. Our stores are stocked all the time, right? We wake up and we have food. We have water. We have shelter. Not everybody does. But the wonderful thing about America is those people that don't have that, they have the opportunity to get that.
right,
There's plenty of organizations out there that offer free food, free shelter. And that's another thing. Our big homeless population is in the United States of America. There's ways to get out of that. In other countries, they don't have that. They don't have the resources that we do here, and that's because again, we're the biggest superpower in the world. Economically, we're thriving. We've never been better. And a lot of that's why it makes me so mad when people say they hate America, because other countries, you might not wake up in a bed. You might not wake up and be able to go to the store and get food. That's not something that everybody has the ability to do. And I mean, I just love it, right? I mean, we are a republic. We vote democratically. We do what the people want, and that's something that no other country can say they can do. Not like us.
Yeah, I I agree pretty well with that.
I
I'm
mean,
personally very proud to be American.
yeah,
The like we have an American flag up here. Well, the camera won't be able to see it, but we have an American flag, we have a Texas flag, and we have a Mexican flag. And to bring to the next topic, the Mexican riots. What's going on in LA?
mm,
With everything that's been going on in LA, makes me feel some sort of way about Mexico. It makes me feel some sort of way about people who are waving the flag saying "Viva la Mexico," right? And
yeah,
it it doesn't make me upset that they're protesting, but the violence of it makes me upset.
yeah. Listen, the No Kings protests are supposed to, they're against ICE, right? They're against the stopping of deport or the stopping of immigration. They want to stop immigration. If you don't want to be in Mexico, or you want people to come from Mexico, then why are you burning the American flag?
Yeah,
How do you have the guts? Those people really amaze me, the people that have the guts to sit in the United States and burn our flag on live TV, on YouTube, on the horrible site that's known as TikTok. It Why are you waving the flag of the country you don't want to be in and burning the one of the country that you want to be
yeah.
in?
I was just about to say that too, because the thing is, I come from a mixed family.
Yeah,
I'm white and I'm Mexican. My mom is white. My dad is Mexican. My dad was deported when I was 9. My dad got deported 3 times, 3 separate times. And the thing is, he's not gonna try to come back anymore. He's not gonna try. He's done.
yeah,
He's done with that. And to me, it amazes me seeing that people who are peaceful protesting are getting overshadowed by the people who are so violent, so vile. And the
yep.
thing is, again, like you said, they're burning a flag of the country they want to stay in. Why are you burning a flag of a country you want to stay in, but waving the flag of the country that you don't even want to be in? Like
Respect is a two-way street.
I'd understand if it comes from your blood. That's a different thing. A heritage, if you're waving the flag out of heritage, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah,
But when you're burning the American flag, our country's flag, that you wanted so much to bring or to be in, the country that you've always wanted to be in, that you want to bring opportunities to your family, you want to provide for your family, you want to provide for the people that you care about. Why are you burning the flag of the country that gives you that the most?
exactly.
That's something that really frustrates me and it irritates me to a degree. It really does. And it kind of gets me emotional because those are my people. The thing
Yeah.
is, why are my people getting so riled up and getting so violent with this stuff? It makes, like, I'd understand if they're trying to make a statement, but you shouldn't be burning the flag of the country you want to stay in for it. You shouldn't be stealing things from
Absolutely not.
American stores. You shouldn't be stealing from the bigger companies, little companies. I don't care. You shouldn't be stealing whatsoever from that. And people who don't live in America that are commenting about this makes no sense to me. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have your own problems in your own countries. You shouldn't be fixated on what America's doing because you don't live here.
Yeah.
And that's just my
I mean,
personal opinion. People are going to get upset with me for that. You can get all upset all you want, but I'm here to speak the truth. I'm here to speak my opinion. And the thing is, we can agree to disagree. I'm not a bad
Yeah.
person for speaking my opinion and such. I don't because we have freedom of speech here. We have
Yeah.
the freedom of speech. This is
And
a podcast of the unseeing view. This is what people don't see. People don't see this kind of opinion.
yeah. And one thing I do want to reiterate,
Right.
obviously the ICE protest, they weren't very peaceful in a lot of the places in the US. But I do want to put out there that I support peaceful protest. And I know not everybody that was part of those No Kings protests were like that. I know a lot of the people were actually peaceful, and they're being tarnished by the media and these people that want to be violent and that want to cause chaos in the US.
Right.
And to those people, shame on you. I mean, anybody that's watching that was violent or destructive during the King's protest, shame on you. That's not what the US stands for. But everybody that protested, that was peaceful, I respect you. And out of the kindness of my heart, those people genuinely are real Americans because they have the ability to go out there and peacefully protest for what they believe. Don't get me wrong, I don't support it personally, but I understand those people that were protesting do have their own point of view, and I respect that. That I mean, our show, it's our opinions, so
Right.
obviously I'm not gonna tarnish somebody for their opinion.
Right. And to add
I
on
just
to
wanted to
that,
get that out there.
right. And to add on to that, to the people who have uh been violent and been looting stores, been breaking cars, all that kind of stuff, burning things. For me personally, I hope God gives you a mercy. I hope God gives you peace in your life. I
Yeah,
hope that God brings help in your life through that. I personally don't condone any of that. I myself am a people are gonna call me half breed, but the thing is, my father is a full blooded Mexican. No one can say, "Oh, you're a half breed, this, and that," and then kind of
yeah,
go off on me on that. The thing is, I don't support the violence. I don't support the violence towards it. And to the people who are peacefully protesting, I I applaud you for it. I applaud you for what you're doing in this country. That all the hardworking Mexicans out there that are trying to get citizenship, they deserve it. The people who are
yeah,
working hard in this country that are trying to do something better for their family deserve a citizenship. And the people who are frowning upon America, burning these flags, burning all these things in their vicinity, stealing, looting, all that kind of stuff, you don't need to be here. If you hate this
yeah.
country so much that you don't even like that you're waving a Mexican flag, go back to Mexico. Go back to
Exactly.
Mexico. You have no idea, or maybe they do have an idea of what is going on in Mexico. Mexico is crazy right now.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
to all those people that come here illegally seeking, freedom, seeking happiness, to them, I tell you, do it the right way. Go through the right channels because coming to the US illegally, at the end of the day, you're breaking the law. We have laws for a reason. You run a stop sign, you get a ticket. That's how it works. You don't just get let off because you are late for work, right? We in the US, we have freedom, but freedom comes with a price, and that's us respecting our country,
mm,
respecting our laws and behaving. Now, if you don't want to respect our country and respect our laws, you're going to get sent away. There's going to be consequences, and getting deported is one of them. People are getting deported because they're breaking the laws in the country that they went into.
right,
So if they really, and I know sometimes it's hard to get here the right way. I
right.
know
Oh, for sure.
it can take a long time, but the only way to make it truly happen is to go through those processes because you will be deported. If they want to do what is right for their family, what is right for them and their lives, then do it the right way. It This is a bold statement to put out there, but it's really not that hard. You just have to want it. You get what you want in life.
Hmm. For
If
sure.
they truly, truly deep in their heart want freedom, then they have to do it the right way. They have to.
Yeah,
It's plain and simple.
for sure. And for me to tell the people that are illegal in this in America that are trying to provide for their family, I applaud you. But again, as Ryan said, just do it the right way. I understand that it's very hard. It's very time consuming. But the thing is, patience is key for these things. People are gonna tell me, "Oh, you're a Trump lover for saying this, and that." No, again, I'm not a Democrat nor am I a Republican. But people are so divided for opinions. People are so divided,
Yeah.
and they'll end up hating you, and it even cut family ties off for that. There's people that cut family ties for that, and that's really what's messed up about our
I think
our
this
society.
podcast is a great example of how two people with completely different backgrounds and completely different political beliefs can live in harmony.
Hmm. And
Jacob is one of my best friends. I don't care that he's not a Republican. We may disagree on different things, but that doesn't affect our friendship in any way. I mean, it's simple, and I think those people that let that kind of stuff affect their family and their friendships, it mentally, that's not okay. That's not an okay way to live,
oh, for
and
sure.
they definitely have a lot of self-reflecting. And you know, our next episode, we're going to talk a lot more about it, but honesty, being honest with themselves and kind of who they are,
Right.
that's something they struggle with, I believe.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And even through all of this turmoil, all this conflict that's going on, we can still live in harmony. People can still live
Of
in
course.
harmony, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, if you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian. We all should live in harmony. We all should live
Yeah.
to and strive to be better for ourselves and for others as well. The thing is, America is about peace, and it's
Yeah.
also about the law and order. And
Yeah.
of course, there's obviously going to be slip ups, even by our government, all that kind of stuff. There's
Oh, of
obviously
course. Yeah.
like no government is perfect, and
Nah.
I
No,
have
nobody is.
my own opinions about the government, but the thing is, I'm still proud to be American. I am still proud to be here in this country to be able to even like so to even bring this up, we're both actually visually impaired. We
Yep.
are. I
That's
have something called retinopathy of prematurity, and
yeah.
it affects my retinas. And my retinas were detached when I was born. I was born a triplet. I am one of four children, but I am one of a triplet as well. And
Yeah.
I it's really hard for someone with a disability to get a job. And I think anyone who is listening to this that has a disability understands full well that there is obviously a problem with uh, people like
Yeah.
us to get a job.
This day and age, everybody is so unbelievably judgmental. And we have resources, of course, but that doesn't stop people from being judgmental. I mean,
Right,
of course, there's the Americans with Disabilities Act, but that can only help so much when it comes to that one-on-one interaction, especially like when you're going in somewhere and when you're interested in a job,
right.
before you even fill an application or before you even have an interview, you're being judged, and it's most of the time negative because of our disabilities. I have pretty good vision right now, but I still bump into things. I still trip. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
And my eyes do weird things, and I have to get real close to pieces of paper, and that makes people look at me differently. And Jacob, I know you most likely have
Yeah.
the same issues.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Most
It's
definitely.
people judge,
Right. And
right? And then in America, especially, it's
oh,
a
for
very
sure.
judgmental country to
Oh,
live
for
in.
sure. Yeah. though, with even with the negative side of America, with how people with visual impairments or people with disabilities that are it's very difficult to get a job, and even the normal average American, the people with vision, people that are able to walk, and all that kind of stuff, people like that, it's still hard for them to get a job. It's still hard to get a job, and it's one of those things in our society where people still judge based off of how you look, based off of what your race is, your
Yep.
religion, your background, and it like there are people that can change in life, and there are people that are the same. And
Yep.
I mean, in the next episode of the podcast, we talk about that. We talk about a lot of mental things. We talk about a lot of breaking breaking points to people and how to build
Yeah.
a structure from nothing.
Yep. That is a great way to end today's episode.
Oh, for sure.
Talking
Yeah.
about next week's episode. One thing I would like to, make very known is that this is our pilot episode. You know, we kind of bounce between a lot of different topics today, but that's obviously not how every episode is going to be. Our next episode, which obviously by the way we've been talking about, we already recorded, is it's a lot cleaner, a lot more formatted, and I hope you guys enjoy our show a lot.
Oh,
Everyone
for sure.
listening out there, I
Yeah.
appreciate the support. Um, Again, I'm your co-host Ryan.
And I'm Jacob, and this is Unseen View. Hey guys, this is Jacob here, your co host. Join us next week for a new episode where we talk about why people are so afraid to be honest. Ciao.